Hello out there, people in Techpedition land. My name is Carrie, and this is the Techpedition Podcast. And I'm joined by my brother, Clarence. How are you, sir?
I'm doing so great, man. I'm doing awesome. This is how we do it. It's Wednesday night.
It's Wednesday night. We had this conversation. We were talking about, I don't even know how we got on there. We were talking about bad songs in the 90s or something. And we got on the subject of Montel Jordan and Master P and
oh man.
It was so bad. Yeah, those were not the days, but we thought they were or something. I don't know. What were your thoughts?
Just go listen to the lyrics. That's all you have to do. And you'll crack up. You will kill yourself laughing at the ridiculousness of the 90s lyrics. In particularly, this is how we do it.
See, all right. So this is a tech podcast. So what do we want to talk about first? We want to talk about what, Bookface?
Oh man, so much news. So much news.
Yeah, Bookface is getting on in. Facebook is getting even further into the Big Brother business model.
Oh man, I was just talking to a friend of mine, actually several friends, about the Google overlords listening in on everything you says. He's like, "Oh my goodness, my Google Home would just go off, and I'm not even talking about anything. I didn't even say the word Google, and then it just starts repeating what I said." Yeah. It's not that bad, people. Nobody cares about you. You are not that important.
Your privacy can be invaded if you do it yourself.
But, if you did have these reservations already, Facebook just launched the Facebook portal, which is a device with a speaker, with a screen. You can do Facebook Messenger video chats. It also has other features built in, but it's an Alexa-powered smart speaker with a screen. Thoughts? Do you want Facebook in your home?
The most surprising thing to me about this is that it uses Alexa.
Well, Alexa does have those. They have opened up their APIs for other device makers. So, that's just kind of what Amazon is doing now.
But then it connects to Amazon stuff at all. Because, I consider Facebook, Amazon, the big three, Google, or I guess Microsoft, I would consider them all rivals. So, even though Facebook isn't necessarily in the same business as, well, they are in the same business as Google. They're in Amazon. Well, sort of.
Well, that's true. For Amazon, I think although tech drives so much of what they do, I still feel like from a public view, we feel like it's secondary. But we know, all of the Amazon Web Services and things that drive a lot of their business.
I would agree with you, but they run most of the internet through their stuff.
You're right. They play in different fields, though.
Retail. I get what you're saying about the retail thing, though. Which is 100% correct.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Huh.
It kind of goes both ways, I guess.
So just to get into the announcement about the Facebook portal, Facebook announced pre-launch sales of its $199 10-inch screen portal and a $349 15.6-inch swiveling screen with hi-fi audio, Portal Plus. So there you have it. Get Facebook in your home,
this
camera and all.
I'm making a note here. Huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought when they named it Facebook Portal. I was like, Valve's going to sue them.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Man, everybody's doing a smart speaker thing. Very interesting.
Sad, man. It's where it's at. As for me, seriously though, to me, this is these devices are starting to become forgettable. There's so many out now that I can really keep up with them. And Amazon releases a new one every couple months. They release a new something with a screen on it, and I guess this kind of counts.
Yeah, so. I mean, that certainly makes sense. But John made a good point, I think, the last time I talked with him about how you have to find something that's in your ecosystem, because he was having this struggle whether to go with Google or to go with Amazon for his voice/home automated lights and all that type of thing, home automation. So I don't know. I think it's just where you live. I don't think anybody just wants. Facebook really isn't an ecosystem. That's why this doesn't make sense to me. It is a place you go to connect with friends. You use it to sign into some websites. It is not an ecosystem that you live in. So yeah. I really don't see the justification here. Yeah. But it's cool. It's cool for calls. Maybe.
I mean, the thing that surprised me most about this, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but the thing that surprised beating a dead horse, not a head horse, but like the thing that confuses me the most about this is that I would have thought they would have came out with a phone first, because to me a phone makes more sense than this. But
well, I think they tried that and it failed miserably. Wasn't there a Facebook phone or a Facebook OS for an Android phone that came out a few years back?
There was?
I'm pretty sure there was. And I think it failed.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I guess I missed that one. Wow. All right. We're moving on.
Cool. Well, want to go ahead and stay on the hardware stint while we're talking about new hardware coming out?
Sure.
So Microsoft released their new generation of Surface tablets, and basically just spec bumps. The Surface Pro is now has an 8th generation Intel processor, and also they bumped the specs for the Surface Book or Surface Laptop as well. And the prices on those are the Surface Pro 6. I think it comes in a little bit cheaper, $899, and the Surface Laptop 2 at $909. Also, they spec bumped the Surface Pro Studio, which, if you don't know, is that big old honking tablet, which you can kind of fold over and illustrate on and do other various activities. So that got a spec bump as well. Nothing major there. I also mentioned on the Surface Pro, the new Surface Pro and the laptop that they come in black models, which is different from the kind of, I don't have it close, but the gray that most of the other ones came in from the previous generations. And
graphite, if you will.
Yeah, there you go. And also, in a surprising move, Microsoft released some Surface headphones.
Yeah, that was a big shocker for me with the headphones.
Yeah, so these come in at $349. They charge via USB-C. And I think one of the coolest things about these headphones are that it has noise cancellation control. So like most headphones in this price range, it does have noise cancellation built in, but most of them you can either turn it on or off. With these, you can kind of dial it to a setting that's comfortable. If you just want to hear a little bit, you can dial it down a little. So that's pretty cool, and the feature you don't see in most headphones. So, and what I've seen of reviewers looking at it on YouTube and whatnot, people are saying they sound pretty good. So there you have it. Microsoft with some headphones, which is just out of left field to me.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that they're very, very good, because they're in a pretty, I say crowded, but it's not really that crowded of a market. But I'll just put it like this. If you're a mainstream person and you want to spend, and you're spending $200 to $300 on headphones, you're probably going to get Beats, just because you can walk around with it's like having AirPods in your ear or something. It's just the cool, chic thing to do. If you want the best noise canceling possible, you could possibly go Bose. But I think Sony's, I was at Costco about a week ago, and they had Sony's new noise canceling headphones. I can't remember the model name, but they are excellent. Like, my wife was sitting she was standing right in front of me. I put the headphones on, and like, I couldn't hear a word she was saying. And I just started grinning. She was like, "You can't hear me, can you?" It was great. Great. Then she put them on. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't have zero experience with noise canceling headphones. So, does music have to be playing for them to work, or is it something?
The music helps. The music helps. I think for you not to hear anything, the music has to kind of be playing, because something has to be playing. I think what happens is, if I'm not mistaken, if you just have them on, it's not going to cancel out. But what happens is, while the music is playing, it's also recording outside, and what it does is it takes the recording of the outside, it flips the phase of what's going on outside, and it plays it through the speakers with your music, and like, that's why you don't hear anything. I don't think it'll just cancel if nothing's playing.
That's
I don't
freaking
think
cool.
It definitely muffles. Like you can definitely hear muffling, but that could just be because they're noise isolating. But if you want the full effect, and I'm not joking, man. Like you can't hear anything. Like I was like significantly raising my voice, and my wife still couldn't hear me.
That's
and
cool.
People were probably looking at us like we were crazy in the middle of Costco.
Why are they yelling at each other?
But with these headphones, for them to be, because I mean, I think the Sonys are like $250. And Beats, the Beats Studios are like $250, $300. For them to come in at $350, is it?
Yeah, $349.
Like,
yeah,
I know they have like a huge array of microphones on the outside of these. I think it's like 9 or something.
Oh, wow.
I did some reading on these, and they seem like they're great. And I would really like to try them out. So I might hit up the Microsoft store this weekend. Maybe they'll have them there. But I mean, in order for them to bring in this market, those things are going to have to be amazing, especially at that price.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just kind of cool how Microsoft is kind of just picking and choosing the areas they want to go into. Whereas I think in the past, you'll see Microsoft jumping into everything. But now they're kind of just picking these small niches where they think they can fit in and make a dent. And make something that's a little bit cooler and a little bit, something that's not overly produced, something they can put their own spin on. And I really like that about what they've been doing lately.
You think they'll ever actually get back into the phone market? I mean, is this it sounds like they're kind of inching their way towards the phone market.
I just don't think they should. I don't think they should. I mean, iOS and Android is so ingrained right now. It's going to take a juggernaut to knock them off that totem pole. I just don't think it's going to happen. Not for Microsoft anyway. I think what they should do, which they've kind of been leaning toward, is to integrate their services into other platforms, mainly Android. They are on both Android and iOS, but it seems like they're taking more of a liking to Android. And for obvious reasons, it's a little more open. They can do a little more integration. So yeah, I would rather them keep going that route. And if they do in the future plan to come out with another phone, come out with an Android phone. Hey, this is the new Microsoft. I saw an announcement where they were talking about using all these 6,000 patents they have for Linux in order to protect Linux. I think I saw a logo that had Microsoft Heart Linux, and they were talking about how they're going to be using those patents to protect Linux. And I think they're embracing that. And if you've been keeping up over the last few years, they've really been pushing open source in some of their own products, as well as jumping onto some of the open source projects and leaning in and helping out with those. So it's a new Microsoft, and if they're going to come out with another phone, just use Android, put your own spin on it. But also that something that got announced is that they're going to be doing like we just recently heard with the Xbox and, pay a monthly subscription. They're going to have the Surface All Access, which is a similar model. You pay $24.99 a month. You get a Surface and you get Office 365, and there you go. For, I think it's 2 years. So, hey, if you need to get in, you can get in cheap now.
Oh yeah. They are trying to get in front of people, which I really like. It's like you said, it's a completely different Microsoft, and I really like it. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. I guess I'll do one. Speaking of tablets and Surfi. So there was also a Google Pixel 3 event recently. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it was yesterday. And basically, if you've been paying attention to the leaks of the Pixel 3, it was pretty much the worst kept secret in the land.
Agreed.
So let's see what we have. We have the notch.
Notchgate.
We have the notch. That everybody made fun of Apple with, and then they realized that, hey, that's actually the best way to make it.
Can we stop for a second before you go on? Can we just stop and talk about the notch on the new Pixel 3 XL? Because the normal Pixel 3 does not have it. It's just the XL that has a notch. Why is it so freaking big? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's worse than the Apple one.
It looks twice the height of the Apple one for some reason. And I don't know what they were thinking on that, but it does not look right at all.
So the regular Pixel 3 does not have the notch?
Yeah, the regular one does not have the notch. Yeah. I don't know why they chose to do that. It's kind of weird, but hey.
Yeah, I don't see the pictures of the regular one. I just see the 3. I mean, the large one. I guess I can go to Google and look at it. But yeah, that's Yeah, they're not just horrible. It looks way better than it does in photos, but it is still a gigantic notch. So yeah, other than that, it looks exactly like the old phone, really. I mean, you still have the bezel, the thicker bezel at the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm sure the camera's nice.
Well, I mean,
OLED screen.
Well, people have been saying that the Pixel camera is the best. Have you heard that? Those rumblings?
Yeah, I have heard that because the 2 did have the best camera out of the phones that it was the phone class that it was released with, including the iPhone 10. It did rate the best camera. So,
and the thing is, I've heard a lot of people say this, that Google is doing it with software, whereas of course, Apple used software in their phone as well. We had Beautygate where they were like, did you see that? Hold up. We're going to get off on a tangent real quick. So you had like 2 gates in the last month, and we're going to get back to the Pixel. Sorry, guys. But you had Beautygate and you had ChargeGate. So ChargeGate were obviously you were plugging up the phone and they weren't charging. I think they fixed it with an update. But you had Beautygate where people were complaining where if you took a picture with the front facing camera, it would thin out your wrinkles and make you look and that's like with no filters.
I hate those pictures, the beauty filter or whatever, where it's like they smudge their face or it's like a Gaussian blur or something, and it's like, oh, I don't have wrinkles, but yeah, your face looks like a big blob. Like, I think I would rather see the wrinkles than eliminate all detail from your face. Let's
thank Snapchat for that one.
Another tangent. I apologize, but yeah, it just looks so bad, and like it's everywhere now. Every time, like on Instagram, I'm friends with a bunch of people on Instagram. They post their photos and their face is like blurry, and it's like that doesn't look. It doesn't look good. It doesn't.
Oh boy,
it looks terrible.
But
sorry, I had to say it.
No, you told. I took the tangent in that direction. But getting back to what the Pixel 3 does with its camera is mostly done in software. I said all that to say this. It's mostly done with the software they put into how they render the pictures and things like that. So unlike most other phones, the Pixel only has one camera on the back. Go figure. It does have 2 on the front. It has a normal angle and a wide angle camera on the front, but on the back, just one camera. And surprisingly, it is rated as one of the best cameras that's out right now with smartphones. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So did they announce anything besides the phones, or was there any kind of like Pixel tablet or anything announced?
Yes, they did. Now let's go ahead. I want to go ahead and get the prices for the Pixel real quick, because I know people usually cost conscious people are going for the Google phones, right? But
not anymore.
Yeah. That's in the old days, the Nexus days. I guess those are over.
Nexus phones were cheaper, but the Pixel ones have never been cheap, really. Yeah.
So you can get the regular Pixel 3 for $799 and the XL for $899, which is not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, considering the Apple phones are like $300 or $400 more than it now, that's not bad.
So Google also announced their first Chromebook tablet, which I found pretty interesting. Now, it's over the last few years, Dave.
What do you mean? Their first Chromebook,
Chrome OS tablet. Maybe I misstated.
No. You didn't misstate. When you say Chromebook, I was like, they already have Chrome. I didn't realize Chromebook tablet. You mean tablet is a detachable screen from the keyboard?
Yeah, Chrome OS tablet.
Tablet, yeah.
So pretty cool, pretty nice looking hardware. It's actually an Intel processor. I wish I had this version of the processor. I don't have it right now. But anyway, it looks pretty cool. Definitely check that out if you're into tablets. If you're not already on that Apple bandwagon, because I think Android tablets as a whole haven't fared well over the years. And they announced a day after the Facebook portal, Google announces Google Home Hub, which also contains a screen.
Yeah. It's becoming a portal bargain sale.
But I will say, in the case of the Google tablet or home hub with the screen, it makes a lot more sense than the Facebook portal. First of all, you have all the Google services integrated into it. You know, things like weather. You know, every morning I get up, I say, Google, play the news. You can get stuff like that in this. You can, it integrates with, the home networking, not home networking, home smart devices. So your lights and stuff like that, you can see and interact with those on this screen. So in that
Google, tell me when I last peed.
Yeah. I mean, as well as YouTube integrated and things like that, Google Music. So in the case of the Google Home Hub, I think it makes way, way, way more sense than a Facebook portal. And, you know, I'd actually want one of these because I'm very much in the Google ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I don't think does this have a camera? I can't think. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sure it does. I was just going to say, I finally, the rubber's finally hitting the road for me as far as what you were saying about the ecosystem. Like, with Facebook, there's, I mean, but the thing was, this is what like surprised me about the Facebook one was, like you were saying, they don't have an ecosystem. I was like, why didn't they just create their own voice thing? I was like, they had to tie into something that people actually use because, yeah, it makes sense now. If you have a Google Hub or whatever, the speaker is called for Google, or you have an Alexa or a Echo. You know, this can tie into it. It makes sense now. Business decision.
Yeah, and to be frank, like up into 3 days ago, I would have said Google has a social network as well, but ouch.
They do.
Google Plus. Okay.
I'll repeat, they do.
Well,
Google Plus is still a thing.
Well, it was until a couple of days ago because they're announcing they're shutting it down because I think they, I don't have the article pulled up, so I'm going to quote off memory here. Up to 500,000 user profile information got leaked through APIs. Yes. And the bad thing is, get this, it happened in May and they didn't announce it till a couple of days ago.
Tell anybody?
Yes. Now, caveat, it was not like social security numbers and passwords. It was, you know,
PI.
Yeah, you know, when's your birthday? Stuff like that.
Yeah, PI, no PCI.
Now they did say that there was no evidence that the information was actually used, but it was exposed since.
That's neither here nor there. Yeah. There's no evidence it was. Yeah, that could just mean they deleted the logs.
So
no evidence.
So as a result, guess what social network is shutting down? Google Plus is no more, or will be no more. They are shutting down Google Plus.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the final nail in the coffin, I guess, because I don't know anybody who's actually still using Google Plus. Like, I'm serious. I don't know anybody still using it. I still have an account. I haven't logged into it for probably half a decade, but
you know,
wow,
man. And the thing that like jumps out to me is this is almost the classic Microsoft. I'm gonna go out and try to do something life cycle. You know, they built this social network in an attempt to integrate all things into it. Oh, you YouTubers, we're gonna pull you over to Google Plus. We're gonna integrate everything Google into this. And man, it came. They tried their best at it. They pushed it, but it just goes to show, man, Facebook is a beast.
Well, it's just one of those things where, like, I have no doubt in my mind that Google Plus was just as good as Facebook at what Facebook does. But the thing is, everybody's already on Facebook, and for people to leave Facebook and go to Google Plus, it would have had to have been 2 or 3 times better. Like, it couldn't have just been just as good. It had to be like significantly. There had to be a sale there, not just, hey, do what you're doing in Facebook in Google now. Like, that's.
I mean, as witness from the migration from MySpace to Facebook, because people love MySpace because it was utter garbage. It was utter garbage, man. And you know, you can't just come in with a product that's, like you said, just as good. And you have to find a way to pull those users in.
The thing about the thing that about Facebook wasn't just having a profile and it's like, hey, person that I met on the street, check out my MySpace. Here's my MySpace name. It was, go find somebody that you haven't seen in 10 years. Like, because of Facebook, I was able to reconnect with one of my classmates that left my school in like the third grade when I was like 25 years old.
That's amazing.
Like,
that's amazing.
Like that, you couldn't do that with MySpace.
Yeah.
So like that was the thing, was you put your school, you put your college, you put your hometown, and all of a sudden you get all these different, like, I don't know what you call them, different like
connections, degrees of separation.
Like, yeah, and it's like, oh, you know this person that I know, so hey, you might know that person since you know these people and these people who also know that. It was just like that was just like revolutionary, and for somebody to like just take over Facebook, it's gonna have to be something like
it's gonna
insane.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
It can't be just as good as Facebook. It's got to be like way better.
Oh man. Well, moving, keeping in that vein of security, California, I want to see if I get this right. California passed the Information Privacy Connected Devices Bill. And Mr. IT guy, what do you think is in this Connected Devices Bill? If you don't know, I'll tell you. So, this bill basically boils down to California passing this law where manufacturers of internet connected devices are either required to put unique admin passwords in each device, or B, upon first boot or first login, requiring the owner to change it.
This is a no-brainer. Like, every state should pass this law, because I'm telling you, like, I could probably drive around my neighborhood right now. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I could probably go find the latest Linksys instruction manual from off of their site, get my laptop, drive in my car around these neighborhoods, find some routers that are still named Linksys whatever, and I promise you I can log into them. Like, this is no brainer right here. Like, this should already be a law for, like, this should be a federal law, not just because, I mean, you got to think about it. Like, it's not just like what I just described. Like, you have all these different hackers that are trying to get in the U.S. Like, was it the NSA that told people to reboot their routers because the Russians might have hacked into them? This is
ridiculous.
Why isn't this already a thing? I guess is why I'm so frustrated with it.
I will say maybe the caveat to that whole thing is, I know this has happened to me plenty of times. You forget the password into the router or something, you have to bounce it. You have to reset it. So if it resets to a random password that you don't know, that's not standard, that you can't look up in Google in 5 seconds, how do you recover from that?
Well, the thing is, like, as far as like that, what they could do is just like they do CD serial keys. They can generate a random 15 character password, put it on a sticker, stick it in the manual, and there you go. Like, but as far as like if you lose the manual, you're probably screwed. But I don't know if then, but I have a feeling that that's more of a corner case than people's routers getting hacked into because the passwords are all the same.
Yeah, I kind of rather they just make it where you have to change it upon initial boot, and if you reset it, you still have the opportunity.
That would work too, honestly. But the thing that worries me about that is that, like, people just reset it and then it's like, hey, I got Wi-Fi. They probably don't even have a password on it, and it's like,
yeah, definitely a good thing. California's paving the way, as they often do on matters tech related. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh man, you know what kills me though is, like, on Amazon when I'm shopping for something like a router. I've never bought a router from Amazon. I'm just using that as an example. Like, you'll see that for $89.99, have a professional come install it in your house, and I'm like, why? Why?
Oh yeah.
The router costs $50. Why would I pay somebody $80 to come in my house and install it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, change your passwords, people, please.
So, speaking of routers, going to stay in that vein for just a little bit. and Wi-Fi. So the new version of Wi-Fi it was just announced, or I don't know. The naming has changed. I don't know if it's been announced or it's just got announced recently. I'm not a little unclear on that. So I'm not going to say it was just announced, but the new version is 802.11ax. But people,
that's new. That's definitely new.
Layman's, you're not going to have
AC was the one before. And then N was the one before that, and then before that it was G, and then B. Like these names don't make any sense.
Yes, I love you making my case.
Go from B to G to N to AC to A. What?
Well, you were making my case because I love that you just spouted all those off, because the Wi-Fi Alliance are going forward and retroactively to some of the newer names, starting with 802.11ac. We're just going to call it Wi-Fi 6.
Thank you.
We're just going to call it Wi-Fi 6. 802.11ac is going to be called Wi-Fi 5, and 802.11n is Wi-Fi 4. Why haven't we done this before, folks?
Seriously, like, could you imagine if instead of saying FireWire, people were saying IEEE 1394? Like that's how ridiculous. Yeah. That's how ridiculous it is that people have 802.11 whatever. Like, just give it a name like 3G or something. Like this. That's so hilarious that we've been saying those names all these years.
And it's so funny because it's one of those things like, us being tech people, we just know it and we just don't really think too hard about it. But I can see the layman person looking at me like, which one is faster? It makes no sense.
N's better than A, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Wi-Fi Alliance.
And then you had Apple with their whole airport and airport extreme thing for they were calling it 11B airport and G was airport extreme, and like that didn't help at all. Like, oh man, I get so flustered just thinking about how ridiculous that was. Like, Apple renamed it Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Oh man, that is great. That is great.
Like it's their own thing.
Because Apple did it, and it's better.
It's called airport.
Aluminium. Aluminium.
Now that I watch Top Gear, and that I cringe every time they say aluminium. Is that like a English thing?
I guess so. Like Z instead of zero, Z, or Z instead of Z, Z.
Do they say aluminium on Doctor Who?
Nah, I don't think I've ever heard that word uttered. Maybe did they say it recently? I don't know. But yeah, I don't hear it often.
Isn't aluminium just aluminum? Isn't that what it is?
Yes. I don't know. I could be lying. So, listeners, write in, tell us. Write in to fans at techpedition.com. Tell us what aluminium is. Tell us. We don't know.
It's just, yeah. Nomenclature.
Oh man! Well, we're running through these stories pretty quickly here.
Talk about some streaming.
Yeah.
Speaking of Wi-Fi and internet and security and Big Brother, so are we going to talk about the Xbox one or the other one?
Let's go with the Xbox one first.
Okay, cool. So Project X Cloud Gaming with you at the center. It's going to stream Xbox games to PCs, consoles, and mobile devices. And this probably sounds familiar. Gaikai was turned into PlayStation Now, which I don't even know if it's still a thing now. Is PlayStation Now still alive?
I think it still is a thing. I want to say, yeah, it is. It is. Because they recently just started doing what Microsoft is doing with Game Pass and offering downloads with their games.
Oh, really?
Yeah. With some of them, not the complete library, but definitely some of them you can download the games to the console.
I remember playing I think it was Dead Space 2 over Gaikai years ago, and I was so amazed how responsive it was. And before that, I never thought streaming games could work. What was the popular thing before that? I can't remember.
Well, yeah, Gaikai you had OnLive.
OnLive, yeah, that's the one. Other one I was thinking of, but it was and that was years ago when we had internet speeds weren't nearly as prolific as they are now. So it's definitely the right time for this.
But my question to you is why didn't it work in 2010 or 11, whenever it came out before? Was it merely speeds? Were we just not ready for it, or?
Well, I think it was speeds and the fact that you needed to have a data center footprint somewhere close to the people who were using the service. And like, I don't know how Gaikai got around that, because it's like you can't be hitting servers. Like, I don't care how fast your internet is. If you're in Atlanta, you can't be streaming from a server in California. It's just not going to work. It's got to be something close to you. It could be just regionally close.
Yeah.
I mean, preferably you'd want something in the same state or city. I know Microsoft with their Azure network, they've got data centers everywhere now.
Yeah.
Some they have multiple. Some even with AWS, they have multiple data centers in the same city. You know, you can. So I mean that footprint has grown tremendously, if for nothing else, because you have Google Cloud, you've got AWS, you've got Azure, and they've all got footprints everywhere. I mean, like, just because of the growth of the cloud model, I guess.
Yeah. And you would think you need like data centers for each type of service in the particular ISP that's serving up the data. Because I know, like, wasn't it Netflix that started putting their not edge servers, whatever they called them, putting them in ISP data centers to speed up some of the traffic?
Yes, like that's what I'm saying is if you're going to do something like this, you can't just have some web server somewhere out in the ether, you know, in your closet running off your broadband. You need like infrastructure and not just, like I said, not just a few servers. You need servers everywhere where you're going to have customers. And like, that's why I'm so excited about this, is because we're finally, you know, it's finally coming to a point to where, you know, Microsoft can just be like, okay, where are we going to roll it? Where are we going to trial this? Where are we going to, you know, do a trial run, pick a city, install the xCloud blades. It looks like that's what their infrastructure is called. And I'd be interested to know what those are running on. I didn't look at the specs, but you know, they roll it out city by city. They're not just I don't think they're just gonna flip a switch and have this available everywhere.
They're saying it's a multi-year journey for them, so they're in it for the long haul, apparently. But you know, that just brings me back to wonder, like, why? Okay, when I look back at Gaikai and OnLive, my kind of justification for why those didn't work. Okay, you couldn't really do it on the console at the time, and people on PCs were probably not going to opt for streaming. But then you think, okay, PlayStation comes in, buys Gaikai, integrates it in numerous Sony devices down to DVD players. Why didn't it work? What was the holdback? Because I thought once PlayStation, I would
say infrastructure. Like,
you still think it's infrastructure?
Well, for Sony anyway. Like, I don't know what their infrastructure looks like. I know it's a lot better than it was when they bought Gaikai, you know, undoubtedly, because they've started charging for their online service, and you know, they weren't the same online company that they were.
Yeah, even their downloads had notorious speeds back then, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm telling you, like, I feel like 90% of this is infrastructure, because they definitely had the name recognition. They had the Trojan horses into people's houses with the DVD, like you said, DVD players. I think the DVD player you bought me for Christmas can actually play PlayStation Now games. So it's like they had the end. Yeah. It was more of a just, I think it was just like cost effectiveness. Like, if you're not near a data center, like even now with PlayStation Now, if you're not close to a data center, it probably really, really sucks.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, like, to me, it all points back to hardware. But I mean, there are other reasons, because I mean, you know, you have to have a long-term, you know, end game here, or a long-term like goal, not just let's just give everybody streaming games. Like with Microsoft, I feel like they've, you know, this has been, like I said, it's a multi-year journey, and they've been waiting for the right time to announce it. I feel like they've been getting all their ducks in a row. And the thing is, you know, what this is going to do for Microsoft that I feel like that Sony didn't really take advantage of is it's just going to give, if they play their cards right, they'll have people subscribing to Xbox Access or whatever that don't even have an Xbox. Like, you know, they don't even have that barrier. Because like right now, I feel like Microsoft is going for games as a service as a whole. Like even if you have an Xbox, with their Live Anywhere or whatever it's called, it's like they're going for games as a service. Like I don't know if that's necessarily what Sony's doing. So they're going to have a multi-year investment in this. They're going to do it right. I mean, just look at what they did with the Xbox. They went from not having a presence in the console, world to being like the second or third best console, or really first or second best, honestly. I mean, if you want to go there, like they had a multi-year strategy in mind. Like the first Xbox was really just an advertisement for 360. So they're not looking for quick wins here. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I think you made the best point about the whole thing. The first statement you made. Look how big and expanding Microsoft is. Think of all the things they do already with servers, services, and things like that. So you said it, they have the infrastructure already to do this. And I don't think anything Sony does can come close to the infrastructure that they have is just so massive because they do business. They're everywhere. Yeah. And, just that alone is a reason why they may have something that probably could work. Now, another company that may have just as a massive infrastructure and maybe more is Google. So Google announced their Project Stream at the Pixel event. I believe that's where they announced it. And the thing here is, let's forget the console. We're going to do it in Chrome. Fire up Chrome, log in, fire up Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, personally, I haven't played this. I think it's like maybe a closed beta now, or open beta, maybe a little bit later coming up. But a particular guy on a podcast I was listening to said he was playing this game in 1080p, 60 frames per second. After having played it on his Xbox One, and he said it was freaking phenomenal. Said he couldn't tell the lag or anything. Now it could be because it just wasn't that many people on it. Maybe, I don't know. But man, if they can make this work in a browser, I remember if you think back a few years ago when all the Nintendo games were popping up on the browser, you could just click and play them because people built browser emulators. Dude, if they can make this work where you can pull up a game and just click it and start playing with even with on live, I think you have to like install a bunch of crap, but if they can make this work, it's a game changer. I really feel it's a game changer. It doesn't matter what type of PC you have, as long as you have something that has a good NIC in it or a network card in it, and you are good to go. If they can make this work, it's definitely going to change things. And hopefully Microsoft can do the same thing with the technology they're rolling out.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it lowers the barrier of entry. Like I feel like a lot of people would be PC gamers if it wasn't such a high barrier to entry. And the other thing is, like, a lot of people might be saying, well, Kerry, they're putting all this hardware, all these GPUs and processors to run these games. They're putting all this massive stuff in data centers. How are they turning a profit here? And I would reply to you with two words: infinity dollars.
Yeah.
It's like, look at what Adobe's done. Like in 10 years, they've gone from selling you a boxed product, Creative Suite, which costs like $600 a pop for the Master Collection. And it's like what most normal people would do that, well, I guess normal people wouldn't buy that. But if you did buy it, you weren't buying it every year.
Yeah.
You weren't buying it every 2 years. If you spent $600, like I know people that were used Photoshop 7 for like 10 years because it did everything they wanted it to do. And it worked just fine. They had no incentive to purchase another copy of the software. But with this subscription stuff, it's like you have basically a guaranteed sale every month. And if you equate it to what you would make in 2 years, maybe. So I think Creative Cloud for everything is like $50 a month. That's $600 a year, right? Yeah. Am I doing the math right there?
Yeah. Wow. Don't make me do math live.
Let's see.
but But
50 times 12. Yeah, that's $600 a year, which is what the software costs. But instead of buying it once and using it for 5 years, you're buying it every year. But you're only paying $50, so it's kind of a value add there, especially if you're an indie person and you don't have $600 to drop at once. I mean, it serves a need, and they get their infinity dollars. So,
and I would really love to know their numbers, including Microsoft, all the other online streaming people. Like, especially in like Adobe's case, are they making more now or less, or did it just equal out? I would imagine more.
Well, I feel like they would be making more just simply because they've lowered the barrier to entry. I mean, I can remember being in college, and that's the thing. If you're in college, you can get this for $20.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it's $20 a month. It's not as much money, but that's like, trust me, I pirated Adobe stuff in college. If I could legally own it for $20 a month in 2004, I would have done it just because it's like, even a broke college student can afford $20 a month for something that they really enjoy. So like that, to me, the big thing is lowering the barrier to entry. So I don't know though.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always with these streaming services is a balance of price too. Cause, even when I think back to, we were talking about Sony streaming, they acquired Gaikai, PlayStation Now. That wasn't priced at a competitive price. I think it was like $20. At $10, I think everybody would probably have it, but at 20,
but you don't want to become the next Movie Pass, so you have to.
Nobody wants to become Movie Pass. Movie Pass doesn't want to be Movie Pass.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. They lowered their price too low, and I hate it for them.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that is the streaming stuff. I signed up for the Google beta. Hopefully, I get an email soon. As far as the Microsoft one, I don't think they're probably like we said. I think I read while we were talking about it, they're going to be rolling it out, building out in different volumes and locations. So, this is definitely not, like I said, they're not going to flip a switch and just turn this on. I mean, there's definitely some groundwork to be done, but I'm just excited they're doing it. So,
yeah. It would be ridiculous to go and buy just a $20 Xbox hockey puck to go play your games on.
Shoot, if you subscribe to Xbox Anywhere or whatever, I keep saying, I don't even know if it's the right name, but if they'll probably just send you the $20 puck for free.
Yeah, I think Xbox Game Pass is what it's called.
Game Pass, there we go. Yeah. They'll probably just send you the little puck for free. Honestly, dude, because I have a Roku 2, I think, one of the bigger ones, and I bought for my daughter. I bought her like one of the small Roku minis or whatever they're called. It's not a stick anymore. It's kind of like a little thing with an infrared on the front. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, like that little small one is more powerful than my big Roku. Like it runs faster and. Just because ARM processors I don't even know if it uses ARM, but I'm just using an example. Like they've advanced so much in the past few years that like it wouldn't take much. I mean, look at the hardware they're running the NES and the SNES Classic on. It's powerful enough to run PlayStation games. People have written in PlayStation emulators for it. I think there's even a Dreamcast emulator for it. So like this hardware is really, really cheap. They're making Nintendo's making a huge profit on those things, and like. Because, I mean, it's basically a freaking Raspberry Pi. I mean,
just to piggyback off that, did you see the PlayStation Mini that got announced?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
What you think?
Well, the first thing I thought was, like I said, I can run those on the SNES Classic I bought for my wife. But the other thing is, like, you can't expect there to be as many games because the PlayStation games are, like, infinitely bigger than NES and SNES games. Like, we're talking 650 minimum or maximum. Per game, and then it said Final Fantasy VII is going to be one of the games. That's 3 discs, so that's like almost all the space. 2 gigabytes.
And somebody else made a really excellent point where we get all this nostalgia and stuff for the Nintendo libraries. They bring out the NES Classic and the SNES Classic. People are complaining about. Well, I'm not going to say complaining. They're making a statement that. The first generation polygonal PlayStation games.
They're not going to age as well, no.
They do not age well at all.
They don't.
Yeah. So
you can even say that about N64. I mean, like if unless they're gonna do some stuff to Mario 64, like clean up the textures and raise the resolution, if they do a N64, if they don't do any of that, it's not gonna look great either.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to do some enhancements, especially on N64. I think on PlayStation as well, just because those games did not age well. They just didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Still waiting on my Dreamcast classic Sega. Your move.
Keep waiting, man. Keep waiting. Well, it's like is the Genesis hardware open? It's not. I know it's not open source. Is it legal to back compat and sell something that you're calling Genesis? There's
actually a Genesis. It's not called a Genesis Classic. It's like called a Genesis.
Because Javion has that.
But the thing I don't like about that it has line of sight wireless controllers.
They're horrible. Yeah.
They're terrible. But like other than that, I mean, it has all the games. It has more games than the SNES Classic does.
Yeah, and it was like on like $20, huh? It was pretty cheap. Yeah. So there you have it, guys. Do we want to talk about the 9th generation Intel chips, or do we want to like save that for the next cast?
Oh, I do. Can we hit on it for a little, just a little nugget?
Yeah.
So apparently, Intel commissioned. So when new hardware comes out like this, there's an embargo. So basically, they send the hardware to the reviewers, and it's like you can't release an article about this until X date, and it's not legally binding. They can release something before the embargo, but the catch there is they just won't get the next thing Intel releases.
You off the list.
They blacklist them. So apparently there's a embargo on the 9000 series processors, and mysteriously enough, Intel apparently worked with this other company to do benchmarks against AMD processors, and the company is called Principal Technologies, right? So, and apparently they had a different agreement with them. So they were able to release their benchmarks and their like findings earlier than all the other gaming blogs, which undoubtedly pissed off all other gaming blogs. But that's not the huge problem. The huge problem is these tests that they released were like hugely doctored, and
they paid them, right? They paid them to do that.
I'm assuming they paid them, and it's like they skewed these tests like heavily in favor of Intel processors. Now, I will qualify that by saying AMD kind of did the same thing with Ryzen, because Ryzen's IPC is lower, so basically it was just as good, if not better in some cases, in higher resolution games, which are more bottlenecked by the GPU. But in lower resolution stuff like 1080p, where the processor does more work because the video card doesn't have any issues, they actually perform worse. So most of the Ryzen benchmarks were of higher resolutions like 1440p 4K to show that, hey, we're just as good as Intel, whereas Intel did the opposite, and they went to 1080p benchmarks, and they showed that, most people that are going to buy Core i9 processors is probably not running 1080p, because this is like a $500 CPU.
Yes.
It's 8-core 16-thread. It's more expensive than the Ryzen counterpart. I don't want to say equivalent, because like I said, pound for pound, the Intel stuff is better. It is. It has a higher instructions per clock, higher clock frequency. The TDP is probably a little higher, which is, how much power it takes to cool it. But pound for pound, the Intel stuff is better. So like they didn't even have to do this. And on some of the tests, they even disabled cores on the AMD processors and compared them to the there's one
that's just sketchy.
World's running 8-core 16-thread Intel, and they're running like the Ryzen 2700 with like only 4 cores or something. Like it was so bizarre and so messed up. And it just really leaves Intel in a bad light. That being said, these processors, from what I've seen, are probably going to be excellent. Huh?
And I was just saying, they are phenomenal still. Yeah,
they're great. So like, it just makes me even. They didn't even have to do all this. Like there was no reason to do it. So it just makes them look pretty bad.
Are you surprised we're still going there? We're still in the 14 nanometer space. instead of the next
like
generation.
Next year, AMD will be in 7 nanometers. So now AMD's next processors, the Ryzen 2s that come out, because like the first one was Ryzen 1, the 1700 or the 1000 series. The 2000 series were actually Ryzen Plus. They weren't the Ryzen 2s. Next year, we get the 2019, we get the 7 nanometer Ryzen 2s.
Wait, 7 nanometer?
I'm pretty sure there'll be 7. The Intel's still like stuck on 14 or 10.
Yeah, they're stuck on 14. The Cannon Lake, the next gen Cannon Lake is going to be 10.
I'm pretty sure. Let me look it up so I'm not just telling you wrong. But I'm pretty sure Ryzen 2 is 7 nanometer. So they're going to be quite a ways ahead of Intel in die size, which means they'll be able to pack more transistors on the die, and it'll probably be able to run at a lower temperature. They'll be able to clock it higher. So I mean, like it could really cause problems for Intel, especially if they hold the same Ryzen 2 7 nanometers. So like
wow.
if they can hold this same value proposition, like they could completely crush Intel next year. Like we'll see if they actually meet those lofty goals, but yeah, it's gonna be pretty amazing.
And just to top off the pricing on the i9 9900K is going to be $488, while the i7 9700K will be $373, and the i5 9600K is going to be $262. So there you have it.
And yeah, like I'm saying, AMD, the draw for AMD right now is not performance over Intel. Intel stuff is more powerful, but it's also more expensive. So he just said like I said, the top i9 is going to be around 500. I think he said 480. The Ryzen 2700X, which is the top 8-core 16-thread processor, right now on Amazon, brand new, you can buy for $295. Wow. So right there, that's a huge savings. Like that's your motherboard or your RAM. That's a huge savings. And in like AMD's motherboards are generally cheaper. The RAM's kind of a wash. I mean, you're gonna be spending $150 to $200 if you get like 16 gigs of RAM. So actually, RAM's come down some. So I mean, even with that, this is not a bad time to buy a processor. And if you're gaming, I would suggest the Ryzen 5 2600X. It's $215. You get 6-core, 12 threads, and the clocks are actually a little bit higher, I think, because there are less processor or less cores, so they can raise the processing speed a little bit higher. If it was me right now and I was buying a new system to game on, I would probably get a 2600. But if you just want the sauce, the 2700, it's not that much more. I mean, if you're talking about building a computer they're going to be using for the next couple of years, my plan next year is to just buy a Ryzen 2, drop it in my machine because they're using the same socket. Socket. Whereas with the other thing about Intel is every year they change the socket, so you're buying a new motherboard. You buy a new RAM because of the motherboard incompatibilities with the RAM. So there's that. Yeah, I couldn't recommend anybody buy a system build an Intel system if you're looking to get the most bang for your buck. It's just not there. Like a couple of years ago before Ryzen came out, then definitely Intel was really it, because AMD wasn't even releasing competitive processors. But now, like, yeah, get in where you fit in, man. It's never been a better time to build a PC.
Yeah, man, 2019 should be a lot of fun in the hardware space, that's for sure.
I want to build an ultimate gaming machine.
Ultimate. Ultra EX gaming.
Talking like Threadripper, like
we should do that.
Ti, like water cool custom loop.
Let's start a GoFundMe or
get it sponsored and then build it,
Kickstarter,
film it, and then just give it away or something. Like I don't even need to keep it. I just want to build it.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well,
it's fun.
Yeah, you ready to wrap things up?
Oh man, I always enjoy talking tech. It's been a while.
Definitely, man. Definitely. So, do you have any other happenings you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
Not particularly. I've just really been getting into coding lately. I've been learning JavaScript. I've been playing around with this Ember.js I guess, will be a library.
Library / framework.
No, framework. That's the right word. So I've been playing around with that. I'm really trying to get my programming chops up. And I don't really want to say I'm trying to do anything right now, because right now I'm just trying to learn. But I would like to have maybe a programming talk one day. We can talk about different languages, what languages are good to start with. If you want to get into programming, some good books, just kind of like a programming primer. If that's something that you guys would be interested in, shoot us a line, let us know. If you have any other ideas of things we can talk about, feel free to send us an email, fans@techpedition.com.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just add, like, if you are interested in any of the other podcasts we are on, you can check out Discussing Network, where Carrie and I are on a podcast called Discussing Trek, where we talk about, guess what, Star Trek, as well as we have a Doctor Who and a comics podcast there as well. So please go to discussingnetwork.com and check those out.
Yeah, we have a solid time and date now, so hopefully we can stick to it and bring you something next week.
10 o'clock on Wednesdays. Join us on Facebook Live.
Yes, we will be live without a net.
All right, guys.
Have a good night, guys. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Very, very quick. Techpedition. Very, very quick. Techpedition. Very, very quick. Techpedition. Very, very quick. Techpedition.
I can't beat that. I just smells burnt and dusty.
Hey guys, don't miss an episode of the Techpedition Podcast. For more information, go to techpedition.com/subscribe. TECHPEDITION.com.